So, Chris, it's been a while since we've recorded, and I know our
hmm
listeners are very curious to hear about the wedding. Rather than going through detail by detail, since this is just a cold open, I thought we could just talk
But
about
let
your.
me start at hour one, and
Yes. At 10 a.m., I arose. I took detailed notes, 10 pages, let's go. But I thought we could talk about your wedding centerpieces because they were a big highlight that everyone liked and would segue nicely into our next conversation. Isn't that convenient?
okay, I'm more curious how it's going to segue.
We'll find out after the listeners
Yes,
hear about your successful wedding and your
apparently
delightful centerpieces.
the centerpieces of mention
Uh-huh.
were all Lego dioramas of significant um, dates or moments of my now wife and my uh, dating life.
It was very cute,
Dating.
everyone.
Trying to think if she's just dating up to proposal. I'm trying to think
Yeah,
if I did anything after the proposal. I don't think there was the wedding. I mean, like the wedding's the most
yeah.
significant thing after that.
There were
Yeah,
like 10 or 12, so it was a good number of moments, but
yeah,
you have to pick your favorites at some point.
yeah. We kind
Listeners,
of did.
it was very, very cute.
I,
And
actually, I will say though, the funny thing of trying to pick out something like that is we just like would watch a lot of movies at home, like TV shows, and like cook dinner. Which like I mean, we could have done we did do a lot of other things. I mean, we had a couple trips. We did some theme parks and stuff like that, but it was like and some nice like dinners and stuff, but it was like those aren't significant. Like, and it's like, what are we gonna put? We can't do all the movies and TV shows that we've watched.
this is the time we
That's
made
gonna be a boring diorama.
wontons and watched Stranger Things. This is the time we made steak and watched Bridgerton. Uh, eventually, you can start reusing the Lego
Yeah.
pieces and buy in bulk, though.
Pretty much would be, yeah, like so.
But
Yeah.
but everyone, stay tuned for how graceful this segue is going to be after our theme song and introduction.
Two brothers play a game. Two brothers play a game. Two brothers play a game. Then they will rate that game.
Welcome to Two Brothers Play a Game. I'm Josh.
I'm Chris, and I'm
This
still wondering what the segue is going to
We'll
be.
get there. We'll get there. Yeah, I suppose a
Okay.
segue needs to lead in and not have a little break in the middle for an introduction. So, oopsie. Oh well. Try to do better next time. I, we only have like 25, 30 episodes of podcasting. I'm still learning. So, we know who we are. I'm Josh. That's Chris, and this is a podcast where we two
hmm
brothers play a game we found on sale for the
hmm
Nintendo Switch. We do a fun segued segment in the first half of the podcast, and then discuss and review the game of the month in the back half of the show. This month, we are talking about Curse to Golf. Now,
hmm
since we were conveniently forced by my outline that I prepared in advance, talking already about the topic of Legos, I wanted you to
Yeah.
help me with a Lego related problem that I have been stuck on this week. Um,
Problem. Okay.
Chris, you shared with me, and now we'll share with the listeners something they probably already know, but maybe don't. Some exciting news that Lego is coming out with the
Um.
delightfully cute
mhm,
Animal Crossing Lego sets in the near future. And they're looking very good. I think I saw a March
mhm.
2024 release date. So everyone get
That's what
ready
you
for
said too.
those.
hmm
They are great. But that's not what we're going to talk about because I want to
Oh,
talk about a Lego Animal Crossing video game. I want
yes.
I can't figure out what that would look like, so let's brainstorm. What would a
Okay.
Lego Animal Crossing video game look like?
So that's okay. So first, I got to start off with you bringing that up because that was at first I'm like, are they making a game? Like
Hmm.
that's so bizarre. Because in the what's funny is I mean the Mario one has been out for a while, the Mario Legos, but they
Real
haven't
world
made
Legos, not a video game.
real world. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But like they haven't made a Lego, like a Lego Mario video game. Just like
Hmm.
they tend to do like a Lego whatever video game, like Lego Marvel video game,
Yeah.
Lego, yeah. And
The they turn
yeah.
video games into real world Legos and real world things like
Mhm.
movies or characters from other properties like Marvel and various Disney properties, Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, like all those things into video game Legos, which are both
Yeah.
are delightful. But I want an Animal Crossing Lego video game. I know
And
I
that's
want
and
it.
that's
I
a
know I want to
yeah.
buy it. But
Yeah.
what is it?
Oh yeah. Okay, so well, I mean, a lot of Animal Crossing is building, so
Hmm.
I feel like it would be the first Lego game because all the Lego games are trying to do a story
Hmm.
still. So you're not, ironically, you're not building anything, or like the games are not about building, which is
Right.
really interesting. It's yeah, you're in the Lego world and you're playing as the Lego characters. I feel like Animal Crossing would be the first. You should be able to just build, like that should be the motivation in the game,
Okay,
is
so
building stuff.
in the Animal Crossing video game, which I think can safely say gets two thumbs up from two brothers for being
Yeah,
a very good video game.
automatically. Doesn't even have to be on sale either.
Yeah,
It's
nearly everyone on Nintendo Switch already has it. But if you don't somehow, it's fun. It's very cozy. Um,
mhm.
and the thing I want to avoid is just reskinning Animal Crossing with Lego blocks. So, like, how
Well,
is it going to be
yeah,
different than the original Lego or the original Animal Crossing game? Like, you talk about building, so now we're going to
yeah.
build our home block by block?
Well, I think it could be a lot more mission based. So there could still be a story,
Hmm.
but I think there's like something customized with the building aspect because you can't you, like you I guess all the Lego games are still you're accomplishing puzzles and stuff like this. So it's not really, I don't want puzzles, just puzzles, but it's like maybe there's something like, hey, build a farm,
Hmm.
let's say. And so then you get to choose exactly how the farm looks, but you have to build it.
Hmm.
Maybe there's still parameters, like you at least have to do like a 2x2 grid or something,
Right.
which are 2x2 block grid, something like that. I don't know. Or like maybe you have to use like a certain piece or pieces to build them, but
Okay.
it's up to you.
So, like, you
Yeah.
need to include a stove, you need to include a
Mhm.
bed. Here's some different, like, it could even be like a real Lego thing. Like, here's how you need these blocks to build this kind of bed. You can do something else, but here's an idea. Go find these blocks and put them together. And that kind of raises a
Yeah.
question for me is when I think of building and blocks, I think of Minecraft. Are we going to have to go out and harvest
Mm.
materials? Do we need to go chop
Oh,
down a tree to get some wood paneled
which is
Legos to build our walls? Do we
which
need to
is
go
Animal
find
Crossing
some
issue.
some hit a rock to get some gold so we can get some yellow pieces so we can have a nice bright yellow kitchen? Like,
Mm.
is that kind of a way we can mix and match the
Well,
existing Animal Crossing with a Lego game?
okay, but here's the really crazy thing because Lego actually has Minecraft Legos in
Right, right.
in real life. So now do you also make that, which is just, you know, somebody's mind is going to implode because there's too many blocks happening
We
together
are deep
for
into
the
the third
Minecraft Lego
level of
game.
Inception on our Animal Crossing Lego project. If
Can
we
we
don't get
do
out,
an Inception Lego game where it is that, and you just keep going deeper with Lego Leonardo DiCaprio,
I feel like I've seen
and
Lego Inception. I don't know if that's someone's like home project that they built and
you start with
animated.
Animal Crossing, and then you go deeper into which is Minecraft, and then you go deeper into that, and it's Ninjago because that's the closest they have to something Japanese. So, um, you wash up on a Ninjago beach, and no, um, yeah, I guess, I mean, because I guess they really can't do like a Minecraft. I think they could get away with you're harvesting the pieces like you're saying.
Uh-huh.
So
I think that
I still think no. Go ahead.
I think we're starting to get to something because now what I'm starting to picture is just like the original Animal Crossing, you kind of arrive on this virtually empty lot. And our storyline can be, Tom Nook woke up one day, all that's left is his shop, of course, and he's like, everything's gone, and now I'm so blocky, I don't know what to do. Please help me rebuild the
What's
island.
the What's the difference? He doesn't. I've actually heard someone on a podcast explain like, what does Tom Nook do? Like he doesn't do
I he
anything.
he
Like,
has money. He has inherited wealth and is living off the interest, I guess.
I don't know how to build this. You build this for me. Okay. Also, you owe me 10,000 bells in order for you to build this. Like, wait, what?
The island needs a
Okay.
bridge, which means you need to pay for it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's my bridge, but you're paying for it. Um,
so
Tom
that
Nook.
so you have kind of like a general, like, where the villager's house is, you've got these maybe occasionally like washing up on the shore after this crazy Lego storm came through or something and washed everything away. The villagers
Okay.
start reappearing and they're like, I need you to rebuild my house, it's gone. And so you have like this plot of land and you have these general recommendations like so and so likes these colors, here's how you make blocks of these colors, and they desperately need plants. We're going to go need to harvest some plants and grow some plants so that we can replant and rebuild them a garden, something like that.
Well, what if it's also? I'm trying to think of something for actually having people move in. I mean, what if it's you still have random residents come in, but now what if it's you have to build them a home according to what they want? And again,
Right.
that's maybe other missions that come up. Excuse me, and it's like um, you have to use certain colored bricks or certain types of bricks that they request, and then like if you don't, maybe they move away immediately or something. I don't know, things like
It could
that. So
be.
you're
I
constantly
just kind of
getting
imagined it
residents.
as a progression. Like you start by building yourself a home. You start by
Okay.
building the town square, and then Isabel comes back, and then you start like building up until eventually you have the island has been restored, which is partially based on the game's parameters, but also leaves plenty of room for freedom of expression. So like I know this villager wants blue and wants cloud themes and sky and wants an outdoor picnic area. But beyond that, it's my decisions that will then be expressed. And then again, we have this everyone's visiting each other's islands so they can see whatever other people did. There'll be a framework. And then maybe at the end, it's just like free form, demolish the whole thing, start over, play a new game, get different villagers, that sort of thing. Um, I just there's so much potential with this concept, and I feel like we're starting to
Yeah.
describe what might have been Happy Home Designer. I think it was an Animal Crossing DS game, Nintendo DS game.
Oh,
Did you play that
yeah,
one?
yeah.
I did not.
No, but I know what you're
Okay.
talking about. Yeah,
I think to some
yeah.
degree we might be rehashing some of those ideas. So maybe it's
Hmm.
Lego Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer or something like that, but
Okay.
with a full island rather than just homes. I still know I want this game. I don't really care what form it takes. I just know I need it now that I have seen little blocky Animal Crossing people. I need more of them in my life.
Yeah. Oh
And I
yeah.
can afford a video game much more than I can afford like 18 nice high detail Lego sets.
So 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 I'm gonna bet though. So Lego's been doing like mystery packs of minifigures a
Uh-huh.
lot. I'm gonna bet they're gonna do mystery packs of Animal Crossing, minifigures that are all the residents that you could possibly get for the
That's fun.
towns. Because I feel like they just gotta,
Yeah.
like that's so easy. That's such an easy thing to do. But oh man, that's gonna go bananas. Like I know people who collect the minifigures no matter like
Hmm.
almost no matter what franchise it is, and like they go nuts. I mean, like there's people who are like, I've been to the Lego. So to make the Lego dioramas, I did have to go to Lego stores every once in a while and stuff, and there'd be people standing around the minifigure packs, and they just they're just like, let me see if I have a bag. I think I have a bag somewhere. Like they just take the bag and they just go like, let me feel around for it. Nope, that's a wizard. I've already got the wizard. Okay. Okay, this one's an L. Cool. I'll take this pack. You know, I'm like, are you sure? What is happening?
I choose to believe they know that their Lego sense is just that attuned and respect it, even though I'm also a little afraid of it.
But it was I mean, like standing like in okay, these are people, these are not kids, these are like 30-year-old guys that are like feeling up minifigure packs, and it's like, I'm gonna walk over here. Like,
Hey, every
look at
week
this,
I
look at this.
pretend to be a Dungeons and Dragons character with my friends and we go on fantasy adventures. I don't know if I have any
That-
place to judge anyone.
That at least, you know, is reasonable. I don't know.
Lego fans, I do not judge you. Send all your hate mail to Chris. And also be assured to buy as many Animal Crossing Legos as
Minifigure
possible because we need
Yes.
the Lego video
We-
game of Animal Crossing.
Mhm.
And
At least it's special. Maybe they'll make a special.
maybe, hopefully.
They've been
Ooh,
doing
we
specials.
could do a movie. They'd make Lego movies. I'd go
They
see
do?
that.
Oh man, that would, if it's done by the Lego movie people who've also done the Spider-Verse movies. Yeah.
It would be kind of weird to hear them
man.
actually speak English, though. I mean, are we going to do in
I don't-
their strange
I
Animal
don't want
Crossing
them
language
to.
for 90
No, they
minutes?
should not. They should not.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's going to
Just
be a
do some-
tougher,
well, no, you
tougher
have
lift of
subtitles
coming
in
up
the
with that
game.
story.
Fine.
It's a subtitle movie. It could be.
It's a subtitle movie. It's a
That'd
subtitle game.
Yeah, I'll go see it. Man, they got me. All right. Let's put a pin in that for now, and everyone hope with all their deepest hopes
Uh,
that this comes to be someday in some form, because I think it would
just
make a lot
fill
of
up
people
tons
happy.
of minifigure packs, everyone.
Oh, we
and
need to move
maybe
on.
we'll.
Curse to Golf, Chris.
Okay.
Curse to Golf is the
Curse to
spooky
Golf.
game we chose for October.
Yeah,
Um,
and it has our common golf theme too.
yes, it
that
is
we've
time for yet
tended
another
to have.
episode of Two Brothers Golf a Game, where two brothers, one of whom
Golf
has
game.
golfed about 3 holes of real golf in his life, and the other one, I don't know, like a handful of games. You've played a little more than me, but still not a lot. Yeah, where we talk about golf in detail. Get ready, everyone.
Uh-huh.
It's time to
I've done a
break
lot
out
of
those
miniature golf.
clubs. Yeah, so I did. Yeah, we did.
That
do
was
lot
not a
of that.
Lego diorama. That was not. We did not actually go on a mini golf date. Just by the way, I thought I'd throw that out there
Oh.
because it's a common.
I see where we
Common
jumped
trope.
back a little ways there.
We did.
Uh,
It's all connected, right? But
So Curse to Golf is a very
Yes.
unique title that is pretty
Yes.
hard to describe. Like this is a game that I don't think I've ever played anything quite like it before. A little bit like it in many ways, but not this.
Yeah.
So Chris, can you describe Curse to Golf? I'm going to turn it to you.
Oh my word. I would say it is a common. There's elements that are like a common golf video game.
Huh.
You still have that like meter that I feel like I have to describe this because there's that
Sure.
element of like the common golf game where
Right.
you are golfing with meters and whatnot. So there's a golf that's a main component of it. You're playing a golf game. Where it's got the twist is you died, your character died, and is in golf purgatory
Hmm.
and must play through 18 holes because in his former life he was the best golfer,
Yes,
and so
and
you
he
basically are
died
having
doing
to
what he
prove it in
would
purgatory.
loved. He was
Yes.
struck by lightning as he was putting the last
Uh-huh.
green on the 18th hole, and
Something
instantly
like
to
that.
golf purgatory. You know, that's what happens when you
Yeah.
die golfing, I guess.
Yeah.
So
So we
yes,
should. I mean, I don't know. It's well, no. Well, we'll get to how bad that was. I was going to say like maybe we should all be playing golf and try to go out that way. And I'm like, I don't really want to be in golf purgatory. Actually,
yeah. I like this
I think
game.
it's just
I
I'm
don't want to
figuring
be
it's
in
better than
golf
like other
purgatory.
purgatories.
That seems
Like
nightmarish.
fast food drive-through purgatory would probably not be one
Oh
I
no,
want to
that
be
sounds
in
pretty
or
bad
something.
too. Have to make it through 18 fast food places in a row and have to go back to start all bunch. So
Yeah.
gameplay wise, kind of a quick description. We've got a 2D golf game, so a little
Yes.
different than the average 3D golf title. A little bit more like, I forgot this is an interesting factoid.
Okay.
Previously, we played, oh gosh, what was it called again?
You played Golf
Golf
Story? Is
Golf
that the one
Club
you're thinking of?
Wasteland. Golf Club Wasteland was another
Okay.
2D
Yeah.
golf
Yeah.
game.
Mm-hmm.
It is no
Mm-hmm.
longer called
That's
Golf
what I
Club
was thinking.
Wasteland. They had to rename it to Golf Club Nostalgia, which I think is also a great name for that title. But they got
Okay.
sued by some company that makes Wasteland titles and sues everyone who ever puts
What?
Wasteland in the title.
Oh my
It's an
god.
interesting little story. You could Google up that
So you
Golf Club.
can't say Wasteland. So
Yeah, you can't
are
say
we going to get
Wasteland.
sued because we said Wasteland now?
I don't know.
Is that-
They seem to pick on the little guys because I don't think they came
Wow.
after Fallout for that, and they had Wasteland all over their Fallout
Yeah.
4. But nonetheless, that happened. So
Huh.
now it's
That's
Golf Club
sad.
Nostalgia, which I
Let
think
us
is
not
a
play whatever
fantastic
Wasteland
title.
game they did.
Yeah,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I had never heard of it, honestly, the Wasteland title. So, you know,
Okay.
fight your fights, but that's a stupid fight.
There it is. Yeah.
So, 2D golf game. Where did I get that? Like Golf Club Nostalgia, formerly Golf Club Wasteland. You are going to set your power meter. So you choose what club you're going to hit, how hard you're going to hit, and then kind of the pitch or elevation that you're going to hit at. And that will determine how it flies through the level. You got a few clubs. And then there's this interesting roguelite element. So in normal golf, you just get what score you get and you move on to the next hole. In this game, if you score too badly, if you run out of shots, or your par runs out, is what they call it in this game, then you go back to the beginning. You get pulled through a portal, and you end up back at hole number 1.
Yeah, yeah. Not even the beginning of the hole.
Right.
that you were at.
You're back to the
hole
start.
number 1. Yeah.
So your goal is to successfully clear all 18 holes, and that will get you out of golf purgatory to allow you to ascend. Now, I never quite figured out if ascend means move to like golf heaven or return to life, but maybe someday I will finish this game and find out.
Oh, so you didn't finish it either?
I tried my best. I was at hole 16 last night, and I did not pass it. What hole did you make it up to? Did you beat the first boss?
3.
Oh gosh! Oh no! So this game is challenging. I'll throw that out there.
It is. Yeah.
It's a little tricky, and it's gonna, that's the whole idea with a roguelite is I feel like I complained about this last time in the Tales of Iron, where it was so hard. At this game, I'm like, yeah, it's so hard, but I liked it. I don't know. It worked for me better. And that's the challenge. It's just 18 holes, but they do change a little bit each time. So there's a little shuffle. It's not procedurally generated levels from what I can tell. It's like a variety of handcrafted levels that will be shuffled around. And so you often face something new. But in the maybe 6 or 7 hours that I played it, there was a lot of new courses, even though there's only 18 holes. Let's see. One thing I might point out before we move on to presentation is Steam tags this as a dungeon crawler, which is a very interesting idea. But to me, this yeah, it makes sense why they did it. But I think that this game could be more accurately put in with platformers. Because the level design reminds me a lot of platformers, and it feels like it really took inspiration from Mario titles and other platformers, where the ball is the thing that's moving from platform to platform, not your character.
I guess dungeon crawlers can be puzzle games too, but it seemed much more of a puzzle one. Like a very close to being a formal puzzle one, because you're trying to move something along, and there's traps, and there's Again, I guess is somewhat dungeon crawler can be like it, but I think of Moonlighter is more of like a literal
Yeah.
dungeon crawler, and that's different to
Hmm.
me. Yeah.
It's again very unique title, very hard to describe,
Hmm.
um, but I think the 2D golf is going to be the big thing, and then turning on those supernatural elements turns it into a concept that you might be able to understand before playing Curse to Golf. Without having played it, I think
Yeah.
2D golf game with supernatural elements and powers, and that
Yeah.
will kind of explain it to you shortly. Let's try presentation. What can you tell me about the presentation of this game and what you liked and didn't like?
I actually liked his presentation a lot in the designs. A lot of good animation,
Hmm.
but very basic,
Hmm.
um, pixelated design and graphics to it. But um, they had a lot of detail. They had a lot of fun elements. It was very easy to like see everything, which was good.
Hmm.
And for it being a platformer basically in 2 dimensions, like you really want things to be distinct, especially if
Right.
you're playing golf and
Mhm.
have traps and whatnot. And so I liked that everything was all elements were distinct enough to to be good. Um, are we going into music, or did you want to comment on graphics before we go
Oh yeah,
into sounds and
anything
music?
presentation. We're talking music. We're talking
I
graphics. We're talking
Yeah,
anything that's kind of the set appealing to the senses.
it had a very I felt like it had a very arcade like sound and soundtrack, which was
Hmm.
interesting to me. And even I think the actual design of it helped with that. Like it's not necessarily something I would see as an arcade game, but it it felt a lot like an arcade game to
Hmm.
me because of all those parts of it happening. So very cartoony, and like the soundtrack and the sounds were very much like that too. I thought.
I could see a slightly different version of this game being an arcade game, where put in 50 cents and you get so many hits, and then if you fail, you're going to go back to start, but you can also put in a few more quarters to go a little bit
Yeah.
further and things like that. And then, the challenge is to get
Hmm.
to the end on one play. I think those two
Yeah.
things would go hand in hand, and indeed they are quite similar. Um, I really enjoyed the color choices they made. This game is very vibrant, very
Hmm.
saturated colors, and just beautiful to look at. And like you were saying, it is very distinct. You know what terrain you're landing on. You know all the little elements, the interactive elements. There is a lot of dynamite in some of these golf
Yeah.
courses, and it's clear where the dynamite is. You know what the rough is. You know what the fairway is, and you also know what the lava plants and the vines that you come across later are. There's bounce pads you come across a little later, and it is all very clear because of good use of color and shape. Um, I enjoyed the music a lot. Like you pointed out, the animations are simple but very effective.
Hmm.
Your golfer is called the Cursed in this game. Is He has a physical form of a kind of like zombie-ish looking golfer, but also will turn into this floating specter every now and again, floating ghost-like creature. This is very cute animations of being dragged back through golf purgatory, or being pulled through a portal to wherever the golf
Yeah.
ball lands, and it's just fun. It's very well crafted.
Expressive. Like the character
Mhm.
is actually very expressive in the animations, which is not something you typically see in some of these styles of games and stuff. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
probably only saw a couple of the cutscenes that are in the game, because there's basically one when you start a new section. There's four
Mhm.
sections of the golf course that I identified, and then when you get to a new section, when you get to a boss stage, which was I think five was the first boss stage, and then when you beat the
Hmm.
boss stage, so that you get like a story reward where you learn a little bit about the various specters. The first one is the Scotsman, this big burly fellow that has been stuck in golf purgatory right like you have for ages and ages, and just kind of learned to make a life of it, and started his own pro shop, Eternity, where he sells goods to other people caught in golf purgatory like you two. And he's a blustery, fun fellow that is very expressive in his animations and his style. And I was
Hmm.
impressed with how much they did that and how good the cutscenes felt. They actually have like nice dynamic camera work, and this
Yeah,
game just feels very polished. Like they knew what they were doing,
yeah,
and they tested it
yeah.
out a lot.
Hmm.
Anything else here? Do you want to tell me a little bit about the gameplay?
We can move on to gameplay. I felt like that was a good segue of the whole thing of like they know the game makers knew what they were doing kind of thing.
Hmm.
I feel like the gameplay made it feel that way or showed that.
Hmm.
I mean, we were comparing it earlier to Tales of Iron, and that I feel like the gameplay was tested that much.
Hmm.
Um, the controls and all, like Curse to Golf is a challenge, but I felt like the challenge was warranted because there was many times that it was my own fault that like I wasn't getting through a hole. Like I could
Hmm.
tell, oh, I this was me. Like it wasn't feeling like it was the controls at all. It just was a good challenge. And I think it didn't actually frustrate me to well, I'm trying to decide if it really did frustrate me to have it go back to the first hole every time or not. I don't know fully. I think there were some times that it did, but I think other times I'm like, well, I get it. Okay,
Hmm.
like it makes a good story. It makes a good way to go through the game. Like it creates a different kind of challenge because like golf games, actually, that's what I would say is one of the other differences. Is like golf games, you don't start at the very beginning of your whole game. You
Right.
start maybe at the beginning of the hole
Right.
to try to get through. But yeah, this was a weird. When I say weird, like it just was so different. But I think it worked. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I liked the gameplay a lot. I think it worked really well. Yeah.
The thing that I really like that kind of communicated to me that they really thought through everything about this game is the fact that in most golf games, once you lock in your club, once you lock in your power level, once you lock in your position on what direction you're hitting in, those things you're stuck. Like, oh shoot, I hit it too hard.
Hmm.
Well, I'm just gonna have to see what happens, which kind of makes sense from a golf perspective. Sometimes you just hit it wrong, and you didn't mean to hit it that way. This game is a lot more about precision, and as such, they're like, yeah, you hit it too hard, back up. Go back, reset the power to what you want it to be. Oh, there's a pretty generous like prediction line of the trajectory your ball is going to follow, and
Yeah.
it's you can see like, okay, these are the pitches that this club will hit at. Um, so you know what? I'm just not happy with any of these pitches. I'm going to back up and I'm going to change my club. And so it's
Hmm.
very generous with allowing you to really get what you want. Like there's still a challenge. You still have to time it right on the power meter that goes up and down and on the trajectory line that goes up and down. Um, but it's not too bad in terms of like, like you were saying, if you mess up in this game, you kind of know why you messed up and how to do better next
Hmm.
time. Speaking of embarrassing mistakes, one thing that that tripped me up for the longest time, and I don't know if it tripped you up too. For the first 9 attempts I made at this game, I didn't make it past the first boss, and usually it was because I forgot to watch my par counter, and I got to 0 without even realizing it, and then got sucked back to level
Oh.
1, even though, like, there were at least 3 or 4 times when I was sitting on, like, 30 power-up cards, including stuff that would have given me extra shots, and I just
Yeah.
forgot to use them, and I forgot to watch the counter, and there's even reminders. There's a sound effect change when it happens. There's a big old number in the middle of your screen. I don't know how I missed it, but I did about 9 times.
Well, and I don't know if this happened to you, but like some of that too for me was no, I can still make it, or I can because one automatic like power up. I mean, you could tell me if the statues stayed throughout it, but like if you hit certain statues, it would
Mhm.
give you more shots.
Right.
And so that was even something for me of like, okay, I'm making it until I can get to the next statue, and then I'm fine. And like, eventually we get to that last hole, and I'm like, no, I can sink it in, no
Mhm.
problem, and just let it be that last shot. And I'm like, nope,
Yeah, you were
that
just
was
a
me.
hair away, and you took a
Like
chance.
I should have accessed that card to give me one more shot, but I was too cocky about it and thought I could make it in and that kind of thing. So, which is my own fault. Again, like you're saying, like it just was like, no, 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 I can do this, and then I'm like, nope, that's why they give you the power up cards. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yep.
Yeah, turns out the golf purgatory was inside us all along. So speaking of power-up cards, we talked about like supernatural elements, and
Mhm.
these power-up cards are very fun. And one thing that I'd be excited if you ever played a little more of this, if you got past the first boss, because there's even more power-up cards that get unlocked as you progress through the game. They start off pretty simple, and the
Mm.
courses also start off fairly simple for the first 5 of the 18 holes. But the power-ups are things like, you get to practice your shot one time before you actually take your shot. And one thing that's interesting is if you hit one of those statues that gets you extra shots on your practice shot, it still counts.
Hmm.
So, you can kind of
Oh,
game the
I
system a
didn't know
little
that.
bit and take a
Oh,
practice shot in the wrong direction so you get that statue, and then do your real shot in the right direction. Things like that. And
oh,
again, just
okay.
like it's probably something that it wasn't on the first draft of the game, but once they played it and like, oh, that's what people are doing, that would be fun. Let's just make it part of the game. That's
Yeah.
how I see that having happened, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Huh.
Um,
I
other
can see that. Yeah.
yeah, other power-ups, like you can stop the ball midair, so you can have it drop right where you want it. A little hard to time, but it's
Mm.
a pretty useful ability so that you don't roll off an
Mhm.
edge or something into spikes or
Mhm.
water, one of the hundreds of other hazards you'll eventually run into in this game. And another one that when you launch the ball, it kind of like Angry Birds, it reminded of me. It splits into three, and then you can pick any of the three balls that, one fires a little up, one fires straight, one fires a little down, and it'll land three different places, and you can pick which one you like the best and play from there. And it's just like, oh, that's fun.
Ah.
And
Yeah.
to make it through this game and to beat the first boss, you have to be using your power up cards.
Mm.
It's a very tricky game. I'm sure somebody has beaten the entire game without using a single power up card, but they have played this game way too long. Um, and they have another good thing they thought out is at the Eternity Pro Shop, where you can get some of these power up cards. You can go to the practice range and practice any power card an unlimited number of times so you can understand how it works, which allowed them not to have to explain a lot. There's
Yeah.
probably like 3 dozen, 4 dozen power up cards, and they just have like one line of text on them, and you just try it out to see what it does. And this is a good place where you don't need to worry about burning your cards, and you can try out all the new things that you just unlocked before you have to actually do it in the real game. I
And
like
it's
that a
yeah,
lot.
they're kind of explanatory, like self-explanatory in some ways. Like
Mhm.
I didn't use much of them because again, my thought was like, no, I'm fine. But
Yeah,
that was famous last words.
yeah,
So literally, because
and
it's
then you
cursed
end
to
up on
golf and
hole
I'm in
number one.
purgatory.
Yes,
But yeah, so
uh,
um,
thematically appropriate.
yes, but I mean they did a lot to help, which was good. So it wasn't yeah it never the challenge was not that it felt impossible, which is really good.
Hmm.
It just it's like shoot, I need to do a different approach. I need to try this differently. Yeah, um, that's a good challenge to me. It's not
Hmm.
yeah, it's not frustrating. It's just like not again, but it
Um,
happens. So,
One thing I really liked about the power up cards too was there's like a process of discovery with it. For instance, and I wanted to kind of pitch this to you because I don't think you unlock these cards yet, but eventually you get a power up card that lights your ball on fire. another one that turns it into an ice ball, and
Yeah,
one that
yeah.
turns it into charges it with lightning. And that's all it says.
Okay.
Like turn your golf ball into a fireball. And that particular one, I don't think there's any use for in the part of the game you played. But what do you think an ice ball and a thunderball would do? Like, how would you try using those in the game?
Well, I would imagine that there's maybe the ice one is like you need to get it through fire, like shoot the
Good
ball through
guess.
fire, and if you don't,
Like
or
it'll
like
melt or
maybe it's a
something.
shortcut way, and you need to
Hmm.
um, you avoid that trap if it falls into it. The fire one is it's clearing something out,
Yeah.
maybe
Yep.
things like that. Yeah, yeah.
And what would you guess a thunderball did? Because that one tripped me up for a long time.
And if there's some electronics, maybe you short them out or something.
It's a good guess. There are no
Or
electronics.
okay.
I accidentally discovered the Thunderball just by sheer accident. I tried to use it to, in a way I thought it was to like scare off like this creature that kept stealing my golf ball. I still haven't confirmed if that does or doesn't work, but I accidentally bumped into a platform that was holding one of those statues onto the underside of it with the statue on the top side, and lightning struck the platform and broke the statue for me. And so it's like, oh, like when it hits stuff, it calls down lightning. And so I can trigger
Oh,
stuff more easily and more flexible situations because all these power cards are about like you need them in very specific situations, and you're gonna be in those situations sometimes. So it's this very clever
uh-huh.
balancing of I can just hit the golf ball without any cards, or I can use a card to do this cool thing, and
Yeah.
it feels cool, it feels fun, it feels as intended, and they're very clever, and I like them. You can eventually
Huh.
turn it into you can hit a drill, and you can drill through portions of the ground and go to places you couldn't access easily that way as shortcuts. You can make your own shortcuts. Um, you can get a card. What was another good one that I liked? Um, I have lost my notes. They are clever. They are fun. I was also going to talk a little bit about the boss level because the bosses are pretty interesting. Um, if you, the first one's at 5. I encountered 3 bosses so far. I assume there's another one at the end of the game that I haven't gotten to yet. And not only do you have to beat the par, the number of shots that you have for each hole, which is a variable thing. It's not like an actual par set for each hole. Um, but you also have a competitor. You have the large specter, the Scotsman, or the other bosses you encounter along the way a little later. And so you are competing against 2 clocks on those levels, and it's very
Hmm.
challenging and stressful because you might have plenty of shots left, but if you're behind, you're still going to lose. And
Wow.
so there is kind of a par on those ones. That is, when do they reach the hole? And so you're actually watching them play, and like the Scotsman can hit it harder than you, and that's tough. So you have to take shortcuts that he doesn't take to keep up, and that can create interesting challenges that I really enjoyed. And then after each boss level, the game actually gives you a big old power up. Like after the first boss, you get to set a waypoint. So next time you lose the game, you only go back to your waypoint. And so every other time you have to go back to hole number 1. But you get at least one kind of save me in between rounds
Hmm.
where you only go back a little ways. So that was kind of a
Hmm.
nice little element. And the other bosses also had big, like meaningful changes to the game that stick with you, even if you fail the round all over and have to start over. Um, Very
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah. So they made a good system for that too. Then
Hmm.
for beating the bosses, or like there's actual progression instead of like, oh, you're always doomed to like start the game over. Okay.
Yeah, one other thing you can do is at the Eternity Pro Shops, you can deposit power-up cards into the
Yeah.
album so that you can then pull them out on a subsequent run. So you can save them for later, which you kind of what I'm trying to do right now. I, I, I don't know if I'll ever beat this game, but I'm probably going to give it a few more tries because it's just fun. Um,
Yeah.
is just doing a run where all I'm doing is banking my favorite cards so that when I get to the final boss that beat me last time, I just will have 15 drill balls and 17 plus 6 more shots, power up cards, and just all the biggest cards that I can save up, and just try not to use them on the run, and just bank them for
Yeah.
later. So that's my plan. So there are some ways to help yourself on future runs, not just get better at the game, but save up and do a little bit. Um, have the tools you need to succeed next time. Any thoughts on the little story that you experienced? It was really just the scene setting to explain this crazy
Hmm.
concept of golf purgatory. Anything you want to talk about in the story before we move into final thoughts and rating?
Not really, yeah, because it was a simple story, which is fine.
Hmm.
It wasn't necessarily, maybe the one comment I will make is like I wasn't playing it for the story
Right.
necessarily. Like the goal part of the story I was, but not the story itself. Yeah,
Hmm.
which is, it's not bad. It's just the game was fun. Yeah, which I guess
Yeah.
is part of my final thoughts. But yeah.
Yeah, the game is gameplay heavy, story light, which usually kind of turns me off, but there's just enough
Hmm.
of a story here that um, I appreciated it. Like I said, at
Yeah.
those milestones, when you reach the boss stage, you get a little story segment. When you beat the boss stage, you get a little story segment. When you encounter the new boss, you get a little story segment. And these bosses are fellow golfers who are trapped in golf purgatory just like you, but they have these fantastic character models, new animations, a lot of character, a lot of flavor. This isn't a voiced game, but these characters feel like they have uh, a real voice, like in mannerism that really defines
Hmm.
them. And so you just get this tiny little story in three act story about each of these specters, and then you move on to the next one. They give you a power up and they send you on your way to face the kind of devil figure that is the groundskeeper. You always see him in the background whenever you get sucked back to the hole number one. This looming, kind of derby wearing character who, once you finally reach it, he's quite the intimidating character when you get to hell proper, for the last three stages, which is where I just got to. He does like a very introduction that feels like, kind of a fancy man devil who's coming down to put you in your place. So I'm excited to maybe someday see the end of the story. Oh yeah, there he is. Nice cue for anyone watching on YouTube. You can see little bits of the gameplay there. It's pretty fun. Final thoughts is just this. This is a very polished game. I hope it was this polished when it came out. When we're playing games on sale, sometimes this is a something that came out after the game came out, which is quite the rage nowadays. Is released half finished games, or 80% finished games,
Yeah.
and then patch it to the
Even
end,
in major
later
ones.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the major ones. It feels like, but at this point, I could say for sure this game feels polished nearly perfectly. I maybe ran into like one bug when I was playing it, and it didn't even break the game. It was just like, oh, that was weird. Moving on. Um, this game kind of knows what it's doing. It does its gameplay well. It does its tiny little story well. Its presentation is gorgeous. Like, I want more like games at this quality level in the future, because this felt like
Hmm.
a high quality game. Whether or not you like
Yeah.
it, is a little more subjective, but I think most people that play this game will say like, yeah, this was well made. I just hate golf, or
Hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
So let's do a rating. Would you like to go first, or shall I?
I can go first. I think
Go for it.
I think I've had you go first a few times, but I I would give it two thumbs.
Two thumbs up. That's pretty rare for you. You've been reserved
Yeah,
on your two thumbs up.
I know. I really like this game. Yeah.
Hmm. I am also unapologetically giving it two thumbs up. Um, this game is fantastic. If y- Even if you don't like golf games, it's like, I think we got it for $12 on sale, $20 full price. It's very affordable. It's very
Hmm.
unique. And it also, I think, will fill a good amount of hours if you like
Hmm.
that challenge of just trying to be a little bit better each time, and make those shots just a little more precise, and be clever about how you use those kind of random power cards you get each time.
But
Uh,
it had a feel of being like a little bit of like a pickup game too. You know, like
oh
an
yeah,
easy like I just want like a little bit of a puzzle right now. Like play a hole
yeah.
and you're good. Like yeah.
I
Yeah.
do think one thing I think I learned is that if you um it's better to like try to play an entire hole because my wife and I share a Switch and she went to play a different game and I think I lost some progress because I was mid hole and I don't think there's a way to
Yeah.
save in the middle of a hole. So that's just my one
No.
hesitation is I believe you could save in between holes, but not during a hole.
Hmm.
Also remember to watch that counter because it's gonna hit zero faster than you think and you're gonna forget. Few tips, few tips. How about the second question of, are you interested in golf? What are we playing? Curse to Golf 2. Is that a game that you want? Is that a game that you want on sale? What are you thinking?
So yeah, this is where as much as I like this game, as much as I'm giving it a high rating, I would not buy another one just because this is such a complete game on its own to
Yeah,
me.
that's the exact sentiment I was thinking of. This game is 100% complete. Um, there, I guess theoretically they could make another one, but it's kind of a
Hmm.
question of why you've already done it perfectly. You,
Yeah,
this doesn't feel like
you
something that can be
you
improved
can't
on.
really add on more because like I don't want different power up cards like
Yeah,
that's something that I feel like a lot of game sequels will do for these types of games, and it's like I don't want that. Like I'm not
yeah,
going to pay whatever amount just to have like a tsunami ball instead of an ice ball or something. It's like I don't care. Um, so yeah, so I don't. I am sorry to say I would not get the sequel to it. And yeah.
that's kind of where feel conflicted about my rating system all of a sudden because I don't want to take points away from something for being done. Like they did it, they made a game, done. Why would I need a sequel? Like that seems like it should be awarding points, but our system is a little weird. So where I
It
landed
is.
on that question, because that is our system, that's the question we're asking, is
Hmm.
because this game feels so complete and so polished that I want to play more games by this developer, which is Chuhai Labs. I did
Well,
a little
yes.
research on them. The only other games that they've
Okay.
put out are for the little yellow portable system called the Playdate, the one that has like a crank on the side that people were talking about a few years ago, and one VR game.
Wow.
So there's literally, if
Okay.
you don't have the VR system, I think it was the MetaQuest, but I kind of forget, or the Playdate, this very strange little elusive handheld that came out some
Yeah, I
years
don't
ago
know
that were
that.
hard to get a hand, that were sold out quickly. There's nothing else you could play from them, but I desperately want to play something else from them. So I kind of decided to kind of cut the difference and give them a purchase on sale point because
Okay.
like I feel they should be rewarded, even though I also don't think I need a Curse to Golf 2.
Well, I would say I was actually thinking of like it's fair in some ways. I'm fine with you giving them a point because
Hmm.
I yeah, that was the thing is like I knew before we were recording this I'm like I know I'm going to give it two thumbs
Uh-huh.
easily, but that's all I would give it. I know I'm like I don't want a sequel, but
Hmm.
and I'm like this is such a good game though. But I could see where if someone was really wanting because it doesn't have an elaborate story. I think if this somehow an elaborate story, sure, you could do a sequel, you could do something else with it, but then it might lose something for us in
Hmm.
another way too. But it's one of those weird things of like, yeah, if somebody wants more of a story, that's not this game,
Hmm.
and so they might not like it,
You know what I could
and for
actually
that
go
reason,
for as we're talking about it is a DLC for this game where because
mm,
the three bosses that you encounter in this game are fellow trapped people in Gulf Purgatory. And you could play a little bit, learn just a tiny bit of their story, how they died, what kind of traps them as a golfer, and then maybe, the Scotsman, he hits harder than you. Well, maybe that's his power. He has some special power up cards that are about hitting the ball really hard, and he's got a
okay.
better driver than the standard person. So that's it.
So
That's the
there's
change.
your
It's DLC with new
you
levels, and that's it.
you would like to see DLC, and you would pay whatever amount and give that the point. I think that's a good way of maybe putting that to
Mhm.
give it a point. Yeah.
Shall we round up or shall we call it a 4.5 where it landed? Should we play it where
No,
it
I
lands, or
think
should we
round up.
round up to 5 out of
I
6?
think round up is fine if you want to give it a point. And I think a DLC is even though it's not a full sequel, I think it's still something saying like there's a way to play more, but yeah,
Well,
we have an
so
asterisk with that.
listeners, the ball landed on a 4.5, but we're just going to give it a little kick closer to the hole and call it a 5 out of 6 because it was very good. Curse to Golf,
Yeah.
5 out of 6. That is currently tying for our highest scores with, let's see, Spiritfarer got a 5 out of 6. Civilization
Oh,
6, a very beefy
okay.
game, got a 5 out of 6. And of course, our fan favorite, Speed Dating for Ghost, 5 out of
Mhm.
6. Someday we're going to have to put up a little competition between our top scorers and see who comes out ahead in a little bracket. But I guess we need to keep playing games so we
We're
get more of
getting
them.
closer to that. Yeah.
Yep. So let's see. Next up, we've got another episode of our Chrono Trigger recap pod with potential controversy. I've been watching a lot of reality show. What will the brothers do when they realize they made a mistake before they actually got to that point in the game? Stay tuned and find out next week, or in about 2 or 3 weeks, on the Chrono Trigger recap pod. And then after that, on our main episode, we are going to be playing the well-loved, well-liked Return of the Obra Dinn. I have heard nothing but positive things about this game. It is overwhelmingly positive on Steam, also available on computers and on the Nintendo Switch. I usually read the little Steam page description of the game, but there isn't one for this one. Okay, here we go. Here's one on another site. In 1802, the merchant ship Obra Dinn set out from London for the Orient with over 200 tons of trade goods. 6 months later, it hasn't met its rendezvous point at the Cape of Good Hope and was declared lost at sea. But early this morning in 1807, 5 years later, for anyone that wasn't listening, the Obra Dinn drifted into port at Falmouth with damaged sails and no visible crew. You are an insurance investigator from the East Indian Company's London office dispatched to find means to board the ship and prepare an assessment of the damages. So this is a first-person mystery adventure based on exploration and logical deduction with an absolutely unique and gorgeous kind of DOS, like high-end DOS computer, weird graphics that I'm very excited to explore. I've only heard good things about this game. I'm super excited to dive in.
It looks like pirates too.
I'm expecting great things. There are no pirates. I've been telling Chris over and over, there are no
There's
pirates in this
It looks like
game.
pirates. They're at sea.
And
It's a ship.
it's a
They look
ship.
like pirates.
Not all boats are pirates.
What?
This is a merchant ship. It was in the description, merchant ship Obra Dinn. Now, maybe pirates attacked it. I can't say for sure they didn't, but I can't promise you there will be pirates, Chris. Are you going to be okay if there's no pirates?
Okay. I'll just pretend like they're pirates.
Yes, stay tuned, listeners, to see if Chris will ever get over the fact that there may not be pirates in the next game. We'll try to find a nice pirate game for him later. All right. You can send questions to twobrothersplayaGame@gmail.com. You can reach us at twobrothers.pag on Twitter and YouTube. Chris has our podcast on YouTube now with some video segments. And you can also see him do some live streams, including usually every month he'll do one for the game we're playing, as well as you've been doing a lot of Disney Speedstorm.
Mm-hmm.
I sound like an old person. Are you playing the Speedstorm?
Are you playing that racing game with the Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, with the Mickey Mouse,
the talking mouse,
and friends. Yeah, okay, have fun. We might talk more about that game in the future. We've talked about doing an A segment on that. It is a free-to-play Disney kart racer, right?
Kart racer, yeah.
That kind of sounds kind of fun.
No frog bombs.
Yeah,
it's a reference to our
Chris and I used to play. What was it? Walt Disney World Racers on the PlayStation 1.
Uh-huh.
That's a great game. I mean, it's an oldie, but if you play old ROMs of
It's
something, that
fun.
one is
Yeah.
worth firing up if you like kart racing. 'Cause that was so much fun as a kid. I still remember like you'd be on Splash Mountain racing in a kart racer, and then you'd go down the
Yes.
big drop at the end, and you're like, actually on
Yeah.
Splash Mountain right now. It's really fun. Okay. Okay. We've talked on long enough. It's time to end it with one last question for you about Legos, Chris. We have
Oh.
learned about your passion for Legos, but
Mhm.
what type of geographic feature is it best to make with Legos?
Oh, I'd be mountains because mountains are nice.
This is life.